I'm here to talk about the state and also about working with one another as like civil society or people power. And I am more for building the capacity of the people uh, whilst concurrently working with the government, but not just doing one and not focusing on both. So I believe in the responsibility of the state, and Singapore is very, everything is very centralized. So all the more I believe that the state should be involved in the things we do on the ground. Not in the way that the state should police us, but that the state has a responsibility to protect secular principles and things like healthcare and things like that, and not leave it to the economics or yeah. So that kind of status, yeah. So National Arts Council started in 1990s, around that time, right? So there was a lot of building of infrastructure for the arts and all that, because at that time, a minister said in the 70s that Singapore is a cultural desert. So from then on, a lot of money has been pumped in to build Singapore up. And of course for tourism and all that, and in order to achieve first world status, you need to have arts presence as a symbol of it. Whether they believe in the inherent values of the arts is another story. Yeah, so you have things like arts housing, where we are housed in this beautiful place, but it's going to be torn down soon. And they give grants and all that in the 90s and all. And a lot of groups develop, and the art scene developed exponentially because we are small, comprehensive, and somehow able to have a multiplier effect. But groups like us also go into multiple revenue approach because we had a very good board of directors who taught us how to look for our cash cow in order to afford our idealistic projects. Because the funding in Singapore is not full, but they give you subsidy funding, and then the rest you have to look for your own, which I don't feel necessarily is a bad thing. So we've been surviving on that for years. Multiple revenue stream. Now, because of these grants and all that, there is the attitude of not bite the hand that feeds it, rather than give more autonomy, or what you call arm's length funding. So that doesn't quite exist here in Singapore. I'll just give 3 examples from the necessary stage history. Off Centre in 93 with the Ministry of Health, there was a problem. The play was demonized and all that. And Forum Theatre is a form created by a Marxist practitioner, which we learned from in New York. And when we came back to apply the form, we were framed as Marxists. So there was this scapegoating of the theatre company with Off Centre and Forum Theatre, which I will go into. I want to go into this because you can see there's very little difference in how the government works at that time and today with regards to PJ Tam, Kirsten and Jolivan and whoever that is having a different voice. So Off Centre, it was commissioned by Ministry of Health, and then $30,000, and then we went into research for 9 months. When the script came out, they were opposed to suicide, so they want us to change that. They didn't like the army scene, where the protagonist suffers a breakdown, because they say the Ministry of Health cannot commission a play that puts another ministry in a bad light. So we are telling a story, but they are politicizing the play. So that is that kind of narrowness we faced in 93, which is the same today. And they say it's anti-religious, and they say it's anti-mental health and blah, blah, blah. But the Singapore Association of Mental Health actually asked us to do the play the year later for their event, saying that it's very accurate. So we kind of split the government up. Mixed Blessings, which is a forum theatre about an Indian guy going out with a Chinese girl, was also put up. Forum theatre can touch on political themes, but when we brought it back, we were doing it on social, cultural themes, because we know that political theme will not be kosher enough. But after we did those 2 things, we were framed. It was a full-page article, my friends in the newsroom called us up to warn us so we don't get shocked in the morning. And I had to retrieve the newspaper in the morning before my parents got it so that I could explain to them first before they get shocked. But this framed us and we nearly closed down. But the government wrote in, and Tommy Koh, who was then the CEO or the chairman of the National Arts Council, wrote this to ban the form, but saved us and said that we will get continued funding. And because of this, we continue to today. We had letters coming in at the forum page defending us at a time when actually these kind of letters were very rare. And so that was very helpful because there were people calling in the office as well, trying to look out for how we were doing. Okay, the report on the Censorship Review Committee. So we kept trying to, so the forum theatre and performance art were banned for 10 years. So a lot of arts community people were asking for a change of that, until one day when I told them that you ban a book, you ban a poem, you ban whatever, but you don't ban an art form. So when you are trying to get Singapore to become an arts hub internationally, when the world sees that you ban an art form, you'll be a laughing stock. And then we were all very tired and we just kept quiet. And for about 1.5 years later, they reviewed the censorship law and they lifted the ban of the form. And they changed other things as well, but it was done very quietly. So I realized that we all have to behave like a traditional Asian woman, where you just tell them, in a closed door situation, you don't shame them in public. And when they listen to your logic and they agree, they would want to make the change, but they have to be left to make the change without being seen in public that they are pressured by people on the ground. So they have to make the change on their terms in their time. And so it will look like as if they change they make a U-turn or they change anything based on their own wisdom, but not based on people from the ground. That's Off Center, after 13 years, became the first play that was accepted as an O-level text. So if we had caved in, because we told the Ministry of Health to take back their money and we went on with the play. So that's how the play survived to today, and today it's become celebrated and a canonical text. Okay, I have other examples which I'm not going into because it will take more than 15 minutes. But there were other plays, a lot of plays that we get into trouble with censors because we have to submit our plays for censorship, right? And the reason how we've been surviving is the diversity of our programs. So not all our programs are like questioning establishment. We have a lot of other things, international work. Gaudy God is about a response to 9/11. So it's not just a kind of local scrutiny. You can look at and collaboration with Malaysia and then Actor 40. So we go into cultural politics as well, and not just party politics. So the diversity of our programs, and Harish is the first playwright, I think, that Esplanade has celebrated by doing 5 of his plays in a festival. So you need to kind of gain that kind of status as well. So, and we do workshops at school. We have a Theatre for Seniors platform. We do feedback, evaluation on new works, and we do like foreign theatre. When it was lifted, the ban was lifted, we were able to teach teachers how to use it because it's a creative form for the students as well. We also do the Fringe, which is once a year, and it's an international festival. And M1, who's the telco, it's very interesting that a corporate would sponsor a Fringe group doing a Fringe festival, and it's gone on for 16 years. We have had challenges as well, but we've been able to negotiate for an outcome that is sustainable. We once did a play with a person with HIV AIDS, and he's the first person in Singapore that came out with his HIV status. He approached us, and we interviewed him for 1 year, and we created this play with Paddy Chu called Completely Without Character. There was an interaction with the audience segment, which is actually illegal, and there was MSN, a chat group that called international people into the auditorium to chat with the thing that Jolovan got into trouble with, to get a Q&A session with the thank you, with the audience. But at that time, they wanted to change Singapore's image because we were known for chewing gum ban and we were known for caning of Michael Fay, and they wanted to bring in more investors into Singapore. So they called foreign journalists to come in. So Paddy Chu was on every story in Asia, Asia Newsweek, Newsweek Asia, Time Asia, every story. And the Minister of Arts at that time said this play never passed his desk. So we realized that the liberal factor of the company is also appropriated and to show the world that they have a liberal side to Singapore. So if you are an investor but your partner is gay, you can come here, we won't persecute you. So so we are also being used to put Singapore in a good light. So it's quite interesting what is the position. So we have had some breakthrough. Off-center became O-level text. Forum theatre is practiced now in schools and go to many, many schools. Ministry of Education has commissioned us to do a forum theatre piece with all the head of departments and principals for the end year review to look at how to be a leader in the modern society with parents that are more entitled today. So the irony is if you don't get caught and you don't get punished into oblivion, you can survive to actually tell the story of how at one time what you do was censored. Yeah, so how we do survive is because we have board directors that were very, one leg they are in establishment, the other leg they are with alternative views. So, and our governance, we were told to keep our governance really clean. So all your finance and everything, because you cannot have those flaws, they will use that. And then we have Tommy Koh, who was helping diverse programming and openness to engage with establishment. Arts Engage, I'm also with a group of artists who actually come about to respond to issues of the day. So, for example, like there was a censorship review committee which our people cannot get in. So we do a shadow report and submit as well. We did a manifesto for the arts because we realized that every time the principles of art is not being shared with the public. So the literacy of arts education is not there. So we feel that we only do that when, I can't see actually, it's time's out, is it? Oh. Okay, so I'll finish soon. Yeah, so, okay, anyway, just to say that we've been also doing this kind of way. And of course, Arts Engage has been questioned and scrutinized because we've been effective collaborating with all arts groups in Singapore to be a force. Okay, basically the challenges of plurality, because the world is not that the world is more plural, but that the diverse elements in the world is becoming more pronounced today with capitalism, whatever. And I think globally we are not able to find a vocabulary to work across our differences. So I was always for coexistence, but last year I feel very disenchanted because I look at pro-life versus pro-choice, gun control, LGBTQ versus evangelical groups, and I find that your existence is going to encroach onto my existence. So how is coexistence possible? So ideologically, there is a kind of bankruptcy that is happening at the people level which is threatening people power, so to speak, unlike what's happening in Hong Kong. So we have lost a lot of intellectuals, and all these people have either suffered detention without trial or have been somehow gone away, exiled from Singapore, and some have self-exiled. And these are just two slides. There are more people than these two slides. I'm just giving an example of montaging them and feeling the impact of their loss. Terence George say, why resist diversity? That's the main problem we have, because the government needs the homogeneity and the nation to build a nation and to listen to them. And I feel that this is a very important thing, because let's say North is a dominant, South is an oppositional. What we always do is we like to occupy oppositional directly against the North, the dominant, because it's a very strong position. So you speak truth to power, for example, right? And I feel that that is very dated. And I feel that when we look at alternative, generally we are afraid of the word alternative, because alternative has been synonymous to oppositional. But alternative, actually there's east, there's west, there's northeast, there's northwest, there's southwest. There's all these things which are tangential positions that can be as powerful, if not more powerful. And if a play is just made up of north and south, then it is a bad play. And in a work of art, as well as in how we relate to the government, it has to be multiple position. So we only have ourselves to trust. I feel that we are all tired because we are atomized. And the government does that because it's divide and rule. Divide and rule is how they manage a lot of societies, and they make the difference work. So they want social harmony and all that, but they would want a very superficial kind of social harmony. And because of that, we are working in very separate pockets. So for example, when this happened, and then we say that, substation is self-censoring, actually all of us are self-censoring. If we can only be humble enough to say that we are all co-opted, and we have to start from there. What I know about substation is that they have been given a year, they are supposed to leave their building, and the National Arts Council is supposed to improve the conditions so that the place can be used more optimally. And so substation is to leave. Substation wrote to us for one more year because it's their 30th anniversary. So they have the one more year, and then after that they have to leave at the end in December 2020. They told substation that there's no guarantee they will get back the building. Now, what is substation without the building? Yeah, and they told substation that you need another arts group to co-locate with you, because we're going to make the place very good, improve the place so that you have to optimize it. And to optimize it, you have to co-locate with someone else. Then you double the chance of getting back the venue. So everywhere, I think the people at substation probably is becoming more cautious because they can't help it. They want to save the building, right? So all of us, we need to actually know each other enough to know what pressures we are going through instead of calling each other out. So that's what I mean by working together and building the capacity of the people power. If not, then we are just giving in to what the government wants us to behave. So these are a list of things, of plan of action that I have in mind that we should be doing. I know there are people doing collaboration and working together, but we just need to think of ways of doing it better. Okay, thank you.